You've always been the selfish one, Martina. It's time you finally did something for this family. My mother, Elena, said those words while sipping a vintage Chardonnay bottle I had paid for, in a house whose mortgage I secretly covered. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at my brother Diego, who was busy scrolling through Instagram, probably picking out which Porsche he was going to buy with my money. They didn't know I was recording. They didn't know I had access to the Ring camera logs. And they certainly didn't know that the family trust they were trying to bully me into signing over was already empty. Because they had stolen it first. Wait, let me backtrack. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm a UI/UX designer based in Seattle. I've spent the last decade grinding. While my friends were out partying, I was staring at Figma prototypes and obsessing over KP is for Series B startups. I built a life. A quiet, successful, independent life. I have a 401k that would make a banker weep and a condo overlooking the Sound that I bought through an LLC to keep my mother's prying eyes away. Or so I thought. The thing is, in a family like mine, success isn't a badge of honor. It's a target. It all started 3 weeks ago at the monthly family dinner. I hate these dinners. They're basically just an audition for who can praise Diego the most. Diego is 32. He lives in our mother's basement. Well, it's a garden suite, according to Elena, and his career consists of losing money on crypto investments and entrepreneurial ventures that never actually launch. I walked into Elena's house, the smell of roast chicken hitting me. It felt like home, but the air was heavy, brittle. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and you just know everyone was talking about you? Yeah, that. Martina. You're late, Elena chirped, though her eyes were cold. We were just discussing Diego's new project. It's revolutionary. I sat down, my heels clicking on the hardwood, the same hardwood I paid to have refinished last summer. Another one? What is it this time? An app for dogs to find soulmates? Diego scowled. It's a decentralized logistics platform, Martina. But you wouldn't get it. You just make buttons look pretty for a living. The thing is, Elena interrupted, leaning forward. Diego needs a seed investment, a real one. And since you're doing so well at whatever it is you do, we've decided you're going to co-sign a bridge loan, using your condo as collateral. I stopped chewing. I actually felt the blood drain from my face. My hands started to tremble under the table, so I balled them into fists until my nails dug into my palms. My condo? I said, my voice dangerously flat. The one I worked 16-hour days for? The one you guys told me was too small and pretentious when I bought it. Family supports family, Martina, Elena said, her tone shifting into that manipulative, velvet-soft, motherly voice she uses right before she stabs you in the back. Diego is your brother. If he succeeds, we all succeed. Besides, I checked your neighborhood portal. Property values are up. You can afford it. Wait, neighborhood portal? How did she even know which building I lived in? I've been so careful. I'm not co-signing anything, I said, and I'm definitely not risking my home for a logistics platform. That doesn't have a white paper yet. Diego slammed his hand on the table. The wine in Elena's glass rippled. You're such a bitch. You've always been jealous of me. Just because Dad left me the oversight of the estate. He left you the oversight because you were the only one home when he signed the papers, Diego. I snapped. And there is no estate. There was just the house and the medical fund for his Parkinson's treatments. Elena stood up, her face a mask of faux disappointment. If that's how you feel, then maybe you shouldn't be part of this dinner. Or this family. We need people we can trust. People who aren't transactional. I left. I didn't even grab my coat. I walked out into the Seattle rain, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I got into my car and just sat there breathing. Then my phone buzzed. A notification from my Ring camera at my condo. I opened the app. My stomach did a slow, agonizing flip. There was my mother. And there was a man in a cheap suit holding a clipboard. They were standing outside my front door. She's never home during the day. I heard Elena's voice through the tiny speaker. The probate court should have the paperwork finalized by Tuesday. Once we prove she's been mishandling the family assets I gave her, the conservatorship should be a breeze. The man nodded. And the valuation for the LLC? Hi. Elena smirked. She's been hiding money for years. But she forgot one thing. I still have the master password to her old iCloud. I felt like I was going to throw up. Conservatorship? Probate court? They weren't just asking for a loan. They were trying to take everything. They were trying to Britney Spears me. But there was one thing Elena didn't know. I'm a UI UX designer. I don't just make buttons pretty. I build systems. I track user journeys. I find the flaws in the logic. And my mother's logic had a massive, gaping hole in it. I pulled out my laptop right there in the car, tethered to my phone's hotspot, and logged into my bank's backend. Not the personal one she knew about. The private business account linked to my LLC. I saw the two-factor authentication pings. Someone had been trying to get in. Someone from an IP address in my mother's neighborhood. Okay, I whispered to the empty car, my eyes burning with a cold, sharp fire. You want to play family business? Let's play. I didn't go home. I went to a hotel. I needed a clean network and a lot of caffeine. First, I called my lawyer. Not the family lawyer, Mr. Sanchez, who's been Elena's bridge partner for 20 years. I called Sarah, a shark I met during a freelance gig for a fintech firm. Martina, Sarah said, her voice crisp. It's 9 p.m. This better be good. It's not good, I said. It's war. My mother is trying to file for a conservatorship based on mishandling of assets. She thinks she has access to my LLC. I need an emergency injunction, and I need to move every single cent into a shielded trust. Now. I can do the paperwork, Sarah said. But Martina, if she's going to probate, she has to have some kind of proof. What does she have? She has nothing, I said. But she's going to create something. She's used my old iCloud to find old medical records from when I had that burnout 3 years ago. She's going to claim I'm mentally unstable. Then we hit them where it hurts, Sarah replied. The money they actually have. And that's when I remembered. The family trust. The one Diego was overseeing. I spent the next 6 hours digging. I'm good at data. I'm very good at finding the digital footprint people leave behind when they think they read being clever. Diego had been using the trust's debit card for business expenses. But the merchants weren't software providers or office space. OnlyFans, DraftKings, a high-end watch boutique in downtown Seattle. He hadn't just been losing money on crypto. He had been draining the fund meant for our father's legacy and my future to fund a lifestyle he didn't earn. But it got worse. I found a PDF in the trash folder of the shared family drive. It was a draft of a deed for the family home. Elena hadn't just given Diego oversight. She had transferred the house to him for $1. And there was a secondary document. A lien. Diego had already taken out a massive private loan against the house to pay off his gambling debts. If he didn't pay $200,000 by the end of the month, the house, the only thing Elena actually cared about, was going to be seized. They weren't trying to help Diego succeed. They were trying to steal my life to save their own skin because they were drowning. I leaned back in the hotel chair, the gray dawn light beginning to creep over the Seattle skyline. My eyes were dry. My throat felt like I'd swallowed glass, but for the first time in years, I felt powerful. Honestly, I muttered to myself, I was going to just let you guys live your pathetic lives. But you wanted to take my home? I opened a new Slack channel with Sarah, Martina. I found the smoking gun, not just one, an entire armory. Let's start the audit from hell protocol. I was no longer the invisible daughter. I was the architect of their collapse. And the first brick was about to fall. The hotel room felt like a command center. I had 3 monitors set up well, my laptop and 2 portable screens I always carry for deep work sessions. My eyes were bloodshot, and my throat felt like I'd been swallowing sandpaper. But the adrenaline? It was better than any espresso. I mean, the thing is, most people think hacking is about green code scrolling down a screen. It's not. It's about knowing people. It's about knowing that my brother Diego uses the same password for his crypto wallet as he does for his secret Instagram account where he follows fitness models. Diego_King_92. Original, right? I took a slow sip of my now cold coffee and watched the progress bar on my screen. I was mirroring his phone. Every Giorelde, left on read message he sent, every DM to his gambling buddies, and every screenshot he took of my bank statements. I had them all. I saw a message pop up on his screen from Mom. Elena, did you talk to the appraiser? We need that condo valued by Friday. Martina is getting suspicious. Diego. Relax, Mom. She's a pushover. She cry, she scream, and then she sign. She always does. I'm heading to the club. Don't wait up. I felt a cold smirk touch my lips. A pushover? I whispered to the empty room. Wait until you see the user experience I've designed for you. Diego. The first step was the silent lockout. I didn't just change my passwords. That would be too obvious. Instead, I used my LLC's enterprise security protocols to flag every single login attempt from their IP addresses as fraudulent activity. I let the system do the work. Within an hour, Elena's phone, Diego's laptop, and even their smart TV were locked out of the family drive, but the real masterpiece? The lien. Remember that $200,000 debt Diego had against our mother's house? The one Elena didn't know the full extent of? Well, the private lender he used, a shady LLC called Apex Capital, was actually a subsidiary of a larger holding company. And that holding company? They were looking to sell off their distressed assets. I called Sarah, my lawyer, at 10 a.m. Sarah, I don't just want to stop the conservatorship, I said, my voice steady now. I want to buy Diego's debt. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I could hear Sarah typing. Martina, that's aggressive. If you buy that debt, you essentially become your brother's and your mother's landlord. You could foreclose on the family home. I know, I said. The thing is, they tried to take my home while I was alive and working. They tried to declare me incompetent. I'm just taking over the management of the estate, like they wanted, right? You're a shark. Sarah laughed, a sharp professional sound. I'll start the paperwork for the debt acquisition. We'll use your LLC's reserve funds. It'll take 48 hours. Perfect, I said. Because 48 hours from now is our family reconciliation brunch. I spent the rest of the day playing the victim. I sent a text to the family group chat. Martina, I'm sorry about dinner. I was stressed. Can we meet on Sunday? My treat. I want to talk about how I can help Diego with his project. The response was almost instant. Elena? That's my girl. We knew you'd come around. 11 a.m. at the bistro? Diego. About time. I already told the guys the investment was coming. Don't be late. I looked at my reflection in the hotel mirror. I looked tired. There were dark circles under my eyes, and my hair was a mess. But behind the fatigue, there was a spark, a dangerous one. I spent Friday and Saturday working with a forensic accountant Sarah recommended. We tracked every cent Diego had stolen from the trust. It wasn't just the $200,000. It was closer to $450,000 over 3 years. He'd been faking the account statements, he showed Elena. He was literally photoshopping his bank balances. I mean, he wasn't even good at it. The font was slightly off in the balance column. But Elena, blinded by her love for her golden boy, never looked close enough to see the pixels. Saturday night, I received a final PDF from Sarah. It was the notice of assignment of debt. I was now the owner of the lien on Elena's house. I also had a folder full of IC3 reports, FBI internet crime. Complaint center ready to be filed for the identity theft and unauthorized access to my iCloud. I sat on the edge of the bed, my heart thumping a slow, heavy rhythm. Thump, thump, thump. I wasn't just going to dinner. I was going to a deposition. Sunday morning came. Seattle was draped in its signature gray mist. I dressed carefully. A sharp charcoal gray blazer. A white silk blouse. No jewelry except for the watch my father gave me before he passed. The one thing Diego had managed to pawn. I walked into the bistro at exactly 11 a.m. Elena and Diego were already there, sitting in a velvet booth, looking like the picture of a perfect, wealthy family. They were laughing. Elena was wearing a new silk scarf, likely bought with the maintenance money ID sent her for the house last month. Martina! Darling! Elena stood up to kiss my cheek. She smelled like expensive perfume and betrayal. Hey, sis! Diego grinned, his eyes already searching my handbag, probably looking for a checkbook. Ready to make some real money? I sat down. I didn't smile. I didn't reach for the menu. The thing is, I started, leaning forward, my voice low and calm. I've been doing some UI/UX research on the family finances, and I found some bugs in the system. Elena's smile faltered. Bugs? What are you talking about? Let's just order some mimosas first. I found the $200,000 lien. Diego, I said, cutting her off. The color drained from Diego's face so fast it was almost comical. He dropped his fork. It hit the porcelain plate with a sharp clink that felt like a gunshot in the quiet restaurant. Lien? Elena looked between us, her voice rising. What lien? Diego, what is she talking about? It's nothing, Mom, Diego stammered, his eyes darting toward the exit. She's making things up. She's unstable, remember? Like we discussed? I'm so unstable, I said, pulling a manila envelope from my bag and sliding it across the table. That I just bought your debt, Diego. Every cent of it, including the arrears. I looked at my mother. Her eyes were wide, her mouth slightly open. And Elena. About that conservatorship you were planning? The one where you claimed I was mishandling assets? I leaned in closer, my voice a whisper now. I have the ring recordings. I have the IP logs of you trying to hack my LLC, and I have the forensic audit of the $450,000 your son stole from under your nose. The silence at the table was suffocating. I could hear the hum of the espresso machine behind us. I could hear the chatter of other families enjoying their brunch. But at our table, the world was ending. You bought the house debt? Elena whispered, her hands shaking as she reached for the envelope. Technically, I bought the lien, I corrected. Which means if it's not paid in full by the end of the month, I own the house. And considering Diego spent the money on DraftKings and custom Rolexes, I don't think he has the cash, do you? Diego stood up, his face twisted in a mask of rage. You bitch, you think you can do this to us? I'll tell the court. You'll tell the court what, Diego? I asked, my voice as cold as the Seattle rain. That you committed felony identity theft? That you defrauded our mother? Go ahead. I've already pre-filed the IC3 report. It's sitting in my drafts folder. One click, and you're not going to a club. You're going to a cell. Elena looked at her son, then back at me. The realization was finally hitting her. The golden boy was a thief, and the invisible daughter was the one holding the keys to her front door. What do you want, Martina? Elena asked, her voice cracking. What do you want from us? I took a slow breath. This was the moment. The silent pivot was over. Now, the payback truly began. Diego's face went from a defiant red to a sickly, translucent white. He looked like he was about to faint right into his overpriced Eggs Benedict. I mean, the thing is, bullies are only brave when they think they're holding the only gun in the room. But I didn't just have a gun. I had the entire armory. You can't do this, Diego hissed, his voice cracking. It's illegal to buy someone's debt just to harass them. Harass you? I leaned back, crossing my legs, feeling the sharp crease of my trousers. I'm not harassing you, Diego. I'm a debt holder protecting my investment. You've defaulted on the interest payments for 3 consecutive months. According to the contract you signed with Apex Capital, which I now own, that triggers an immediate acceleration clause. I turned to my mother. She was staring at the manila envelope as if it were a coiled cobra. Elena, you should probably look at page 4, I said, my voice as neutral as a Siri notification. That's the part where Diego used your forged signature to waive the right of redemption. You know what that means? It means you don't get 90 days to fix this. You get 7. Diego? Elena's voice was a whisper. A broken, fragile thing. Is this true? Did you sign my name? Diego didn't answer. He was too busy staring at his phone, probably realizing that the 2-factor authentication codes he'd been trying to intercept were now going to a burner phone in my pocket. Wait, let me backtrack, I said, catching a glimpse of the waiter hovering nearby. I waved him off with a flick of my wrist. He didn't just sign your name, Mom. He used the house as collateral for a secondary loan to cover his losses on a Shiba Inu-based NFT project. He's not just a gambler. He's a bad one. I was going to pay it back. Diego suddenly exploded, standing up so fast his chair screeched against the floor. People at the next table turned to stare. I just needed one more win. If Martina hadn't locked me out of the trust, I would have covered it. The trust wasn't yours to use, Diego, I said. It was Dad's legacy. It was for Mom's care. And you treated it like a personal ATM for your VIP tables and influencer lifestyle. Alina finally looked up. For a second, I expected to see remorse. I expected her to say, Martina, I'm so sorry. I was wrong about you. But that's not how narcissists work. How could you do this to your own brother? She spat, her eyes narrowing with a familiar venomous fire. You've always been so cold, so calculating. You're holding your own mother's house over her head just to prove a point. You're a monster, Martina. I felt a sharp sting in my chest, a phantom pain of the girl I used to be, the one who would have stayed up all night crying over that sentence. But that girl was gone. I buried her under 10 years of 80-hour work weeks and corporate gaslighting. The monster isn't the one enforcing the contract, Elena, I said. The monster is the one who tried to put her daughter in a conservatorship to steal her condo. The thing is, you didn't want a daughter. You wanted an insurance policy. And unfortunately for you, I've just canceled the coverage. I stood up. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt light, like I'd finally dropped a heavy backpack I'd been carrying since high school. Here's what's going to happen, I said, placing my napkin on the table. I'm heading to my office. Sarah, my lawyer, is already filing the notice of default with the county recorder. You have 1 week to vacate the premises. 1 week? Elena shrieked. Where am I supposed to go? Diego has a very nice garden suite in the basement, doesn't he? I smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Oh, wait. That's being seized too. I suggest you look for an Airbnb. Or maybe Diego can use some of that logistics platform expertise to find you a cardboard box. Martina, please, Diego said, his tone shifting into that pathetic, whiny plea he used when he was 10 and broke a window. We're family. Don't do this. I'll do anything. I'll go to rehab. I'll get a job. You already have a job, Diego, I said, heading toward the door. You're going to be the lead defendant in a fraud case. I'd start updating your LinkedIn. I walked out of the restaurant and into the crisp Seattle air. I took a deep breath, the first one that didn't feel like it was filtered through a layer of anxiety. But I wasn't done. Not even close. The physical revenge was the house. But in 2025, the real battlefield is digital. Reputation is the only currency that matters to people like Elena and Diego. I got into my car and opened my laptop. It was time for the social audit. Elena was a pillar of the local Heritage Society. She loved her neighborhood portal and her Facebook groups where she'd depost photos of her perfect life. And Diego? Diego lived for his entrepreneurial persona on Instagram. POSTNG photos of rented private jets and bottles of Ace of Spades he couldn't afford. I opened a file I'd titled The Transparency Project. I didn't leak their private photos. I'm not a criminal. I simply shared the public court filings. I uploaded the notice of default and the foreclosure proceedings to the neighborhood portal. I tagged the Heritage Society in the post about the mishandling of estate funds. And for Diego, I sent a very detailed email to the investors he'd been courting for his fake logistics platform. I included the forensic audit showing exactly where their seed money had gone, mostly to a casino in Vegas and a series of marketing consultants who were actually just high-end escorts. Then, I did the one thing that I knew would hurt them the most. I set up a live stream estate sale. Since I technically owned the contents of the house, now collateral for the debt, I hired a professional liquidation team. They were scheduled to arrive on Tuesday morning. I posted the link everywhere. Luxury liquidation. Everything must go. Furniture, vintage wines, and golden boy memorabilia. Starting at $1. My phone started blowing up. Elena, you are destroying my life. My friends are calling me. People are outside the house taking pictures. Diego, delete the post. The guys at the club saw the audit. I'm ruined, Martina. I'm literally ruined. I didn't reply. I just watched the Ring camera feed from the family home. I saw Elena standing on the front porch, screaming at a reporter from the local neighborhood blog. I saw Diego trying to load his luxury watch collection into the back of his leased SUV, only to find the repo man already there, hooking the car up to a tow truck. The thing is, when you build a house of cards, you can't be mad at the wind. I leaned back in my office chair, watching the sun set over the Puget Sound. My Slack pinged. Sarah, injunction granted. The conservatorship case has been dismissed with prejudice. The judge actually laughed when he saw the IP logs of your mother trying to reset your passwords. Also, the district attorney is interested in Diego's signature on those loan docs. Martina. Good. Let them know. I'm a very cooperative witness. I closed my laptop. I thought I would feel guilty. I thought the family bond would pull at my heartstrings. But as I sat there in the silence of my own home, the home I had built, the home that was truly mine, all I felt was peace. The invisible daughter was finally being seen, and the view was spectacular. The thing is, people think revenge is about a big explosion. It's not. It's about the silence that follows. It's about the moment the screaming stops and the realization hits the other person that they are truly, fundamentally alone. It was Tuesday morning, the day of the luxury liquidation. I watched the whole thing from my office in downtown Seattle. Through the Ring camera, I still hadn't disconnected. A professional crew in gray jumpsuits was moving through my mother's house. They were tagging the mahogany dining table, the one where Elena had told me I was transactional, with a neon green sticker that said, Lot number 104 starting $50. I saw Elena standing in the corner of the living room. She looked smaller. Without her Heritage Society armor and her designer clothes, she was just an old woman in a stained tracksuit, clutching a decorative pillow as if it were a life raft. Diego was nowhere to be seen. Probably hiding in his room, or more likely, trying to find a way to transfer his remaining $4 to a burner account. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Sarah, Diego just got served at the house. The DA officially opened an investigation into the forged loan documents. They're calling it grand larceny and identity theft. He's looking at 5 to 10. I felt a cold shiver go down my spine. Not of regret, but of relief. Then the doorbell rang on the camera feed. It was the liquidation lead, a tall woman with a clipboard. She walked up to Elena. Ma'am, we need to move this sofa. It's part of the online auction. This is my home. Elena's voice was thin, echoing through the now empty hallways. You can't take my furniture. Actually, the woman said, pointing to the paperwork, the owner of the lien has authorized a total liquidation of contents to offset the outstanding interest. Please step aside. I watched my mother step onto the porch. She looked at the street, where neighbors, the same neighbors she'd spent years looking down on, were standing on their sidewalks, phones out, whispering. One of them, Mrs. Gable, even waved. It wasn't a friendly wave. It was the wave you give to a car crash as you drive past. Wait, let me tell you about the best part. As they were moving the heavy armoire from Diego's room, a false panel at the back fell out. The camera caught it perfectly. A stack of papers and several small velvet boxes tumbled onto the floor. The liquidation lead picked one up. It was a Rolex, the one Diego said he'd lost in Vegas 2 years ago. And the papers? They weren't crypto strategies. They were the original copies of my father's medical fund disbursements. He hadn't just spent the trust. He had been stealing the money meant for Dad's end-of-life care while Dad was still alive. I felt a sudden, hot flash of rage. I picked up my phone and dialed the house. Not Elena's cell. The landline. The one that was still active for one more day. Elena answered on the second ring. Hello? Martina? Is that you? Please tell them to stop. I saw the armoire, Elena, I said, my voice like ice. Silence. I saw the Rolexes. I saw the medical papers. I continued. You spent 3 years telling me I was the selfish one. You let him steal from Dad while he was dying. You let him drain the fund that was supposed to keep Dad comfortable. I didn't know, she whispered. You did know, I said. You just didn't want to admit your golden boy was a thief because that would mean admitting you failed as a mother. Well, guess what? You didn't just fail as a mother. You failed as a human being. Martina, please. I have nowhere to go. I'm 65. You can't put your mother on the street. I'm not putting you on the street, Elena, I said. I've arranged for a small one-bedroom apartment in a senior living facility in Kent. It's paid for 3 months. After that, you can use whatever is left of your social security. It's more than you tried to leave me with. Kent? She gasped. That's for poor people. It's for people who don't have a house anymore, I replied. And Diego? He won't be joining you. There's a police cruiser pulling into the driveway right now. I'd suggest you tell him to keep his hands visible. I hung up. On the screen, I watched as 2 officers walked up the driveway. Diego tried to run out the back door, but the liquidation crew was already there, blocking the path with a velvet sofa. It was poetic. His own greed, manifested in furniture, trapped him. They handcuffed him right there on the lawn. Elena was wailing, a sound that would have broken my heart a month ago. Now it just sounded like static. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my balcony in Seattle. The air is cool, smelling of salt and pine. My condo is peaceful. No ring notifications of intruders. No monthly family dinners. Diego is currently serving his first year of a 7-year sentence. He's learning that in prison, his logistics platform doesn't mean much when you're trading cigarettes for extra soap. Elena is in Kent. She calls me sometimes, leaving long, rambling voicemails about how misunderstood she was. I don't delete them, I just don't listen to them. They're like background noise from a life I used to live. I recently took the money from the sale of the house after paying off the debts, and I did something transactional. I didn't buy a Porsche. I didn't buy a watch. I started a scholarship fund for first-generation tech students from broken homes. I called it the Architect Fund, because the thing is, once you realize you're the architect of your own life, you stop letting other people draw the blueprints. I'm no longer the invisible daughter. I'm the woman who owns the building. And honestly, the view from the top is much better than I ever imagined.